I want to understand how to run business properly. And I wanted to do it in English so that I can work anywhere in the world afterwards. I hated finance. For the first 3 years, I lost maybe 4 or 5 500-pound accounts.
This episode is sponsored by the Luxury Playbook, a digital publication that empowers you to achieve your luxury goals through data-backed articles in real estate, investing, and entrepreneurship. The Luxury Playbook is an online resource providing daily updates on essential information. Visit theluxuryplaybook.com today and gain the insights necessary to jumpstart your journey to success in real estate, investing, and entrepreneurship.
Today, I have the honor of hosting Tarik Chebib, the CEO of Capital.com, one of the major FX brokers out there. What many of you don't know is that Tarik used to be a professional basketball player and worked his way up the corporate ladder, making it out in the UAE. If you follow him on any social media platforms, you'll see posts of private jets, fast cars, exotic holidays, showing us he is living his best life. But beyond the glamour, Tarik's story is rooted in hard work and determination. He's not just a proud father and husband, but also someone who tirelessly dedicates himself to his career. Tarik embodies the spirit of someone who pursued a dream and achieved it. So for those of us who admire entrepreneurial journeys, this episode promises valuable guidance from Tarik, including lessons on risk management from his own experience. Tarik, hi, welcome to the Resilient Lounge podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So, Tarik, where do I even begin? I have so many questions to ask you, right? But I'm going to start here. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Germany. I grew up there. I lived there for 20 years. Then I moved to the UK for 7 years. And now I've been in Dubai for 9 years.
Oh, wow, okay. So, Germany, did you go to school there? Did you start your career there as well? Like, why were you jumping through London and UAE? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, yeah, I grew up there. I'm half German, half Syrian. Went to school there. Had a very good childhood.
So do you speak Arabic and German?
I get by with the Arabic and I speak German, yes.
So I have a random question to actually ask you. People who are bilingual, I'm also bilingual as well. And I always ask this question, right? So what language do you think in?
For a long time, it was German. And now that I have probably spoken more English in the last 20 years, I now a lot of the times think in English.
What language do you dream in?
Probably English as well.
Isn't that such a random thing though?
Yeah.
You were a professional basketball player. Did you start basketball in Germany?
Yeah.
Where
So I started playing when I was 6. My mom took me on a random day and said, go and play basketball, which, back then wasn't really big in Germany. But I enjoyed, and the first couple of years, it was just running around and being a little boy. And when I was 10 or 12, I moved to a bigger team, which is the hometown team that plays in the Bundesliga and whatever. And then I went through their whole youth program from under 14s to all the way until I left by the age of 20. So I played basketball from the age of 6 till 23. And in 2005, I joined the professional team in the Bundesliga. And that was an amazing experience to be on the other side. Obviously, every little boy, when he plays a sport, thinks, oh, I want to be professional. But to actually achieve that at some point was unbelievable.
So from that, you must have obviously had a lot of challenges, of course, because you did start from a young age. And you probably did learn a lot of discipline, that because a lot of athletes, you do learn a lot of discipline. Do you implement whatever you were taught within sports into your daily life now?
Sports and working from my parents from a young age on has taught me more than any university or school could have ever taught me. The transformative skills that you learn by playing a team sport, where it doesn't matter how good you are, it really matters how good the team is. And getting the most out of people. I was the captain for a lot of youth teams for 10 years straight. So I was always in between the coach and the team. and you have to communicate with both of them and try and get the most out of people. And how I use that today is building teams from the ground up and trying to make something happen, and not just look at how good is someone individually, but how good will he fit into the culture of a workplace is something that I take every day. And I'm grateful that I went through those experiences. And on a personal side, I'm 5'11", right? When you say I'm a basketball player, people will imagine like I'm 7 foot.
Yeah.
But
You are tall. It's
no,
not like you're not tall. You probably don't see yourself as tall because you've seen
yeah,
taller basketball players.
exactly. I played against people that were 6'6", 6'8", 6'11".
Yeah.
So at 6 foot, if you're playing basketball, you better be quick and you better be very resilient and be very good at falling down and getting back up. Those are basically those 10 years where it was very intense, where I played every day, sometimes 2, 3 training sessions a day. You learn if you're playing against someone as 2'10", 150 kilos, and you run up against him, you just fall down, right?
Yeah, I
And
can imagine.
for years that just kept happening. And that shows you that one is effort. You have to show up every single day. And that has nothing to do with talent, right? That's just, if you show up every single day, at some point, something will happen. I got lucky that I got to the point where I got to, but I showed up. I never missed a training session. I was never calling in sick or any of those kind of things, right? I show up. That's the first thing. Then discipline. When you go to training every single day, you give it your all. There's no, oh, I'm going to take a day off. No, you want to get somewhere. You have a goal and you keep pushing. Yeah. So
That's
those
really
are some of
interesting.
the things that I think are still now ingrained in me, that when I show up to work, I try and apply those same kind of principles.
We can't teach work ethic, right? And I'm not going to go into this whole Gen Z work differently to boomers and all of that stuff, right?
Mm.
But where do you think you got your work ethic from?
Yeah, one was sport, but I started work for my family business when I was 12. My dad basically had to write invoices for his clients, and he didn't want to have anything to do with a computer. So he put a computer there and said, "You're now responsible for writing the invoices." And if you didn't write invoices, there was no money coming in. So there was no like, "Oh, this is a weekend," or "This is an afternoon, this is an evening, I want to go play." My teenage years were either playing basketball or working. And so work ethic, a lot of the time, people come out of university, haven't had a real job yet, or are lost what they want to do. And so work ethic becomes this big thing. And oh, you have to wake up in the morning and you have to put in 8, 10, 12
Yeah.
hours. And all of that didn't really bother me, because by the time I actually finished uni when I was 25. So from 12 to 25, I worked every
You
single day.
finished uni at 25.
Yeah, so I started when I was almost 7, because in Germany, my mom wanted like, let the boy play and whatever. So
Right.
I didn't go with 5 and a bit. I started when I was almost 7. I had to redo 7th grade, because at 7th grade, that was when I was going from playing 3 times a week to 7 times a week of basketball.
Oh.
So I was like, and in Germany, if you fail 2 subjects, you have to redo the year. So
Yep.
math and Latin weren't my friends. I had to redo the year. So that's another year. So I was almost 20 by the time I started my undergrad, did 3 years of undergrad, and then I did a master's. And so I was almost 25 when I started work.
Wow.
But at that point, I had 13 years worth of experience of actually working. And so I paid for my undergrad myself. I had 3 jobs at the same time and got a first class. And
Great.
work ethic, because I started so early, by the time I went to uni at 20, I had 8 years of work experience. And
That's
so
really cool to hear. I finished uni at 25 and I went at 21. So I don't think I've ever met anyone who's told me I finished uni at 25.
yeah, in the UK, it's so normal that people come out of school at 17, 18,
is,
and they're
yeah.
done by 21, and they have so much more time to develop skills and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
To be honest, like my case was, I really did not know what I wanted to do with my life. Who knows at the age of 18,
no idea.
exactly
Yeah.
what they want to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
And so I really needed my time to sit and see what I'm going to do with myself. But in the end, I ended up doing sociology and social sciences,
Wow.
which I thought I wanted to do child psychology in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't believe in my effort that I could actually get a 70% in order for me to pass to do this subject, child psychology. And because sociology only needed 40% to pass to do it, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take the easy way in.
Yeah.
And I ended up choosing sociology and got 80%. And I was like, damn, I could have literally done child psychology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned so much within sociology and all of
Mhm.
that stuff. But yeah, it was interesting. Okay, why the transition from basketball
Mm.
into FX?
Yeah, it sounds very glamorous, right? At 18, 19, I was flying around the world. They give you a car, they give you
Yeah.
your flat and all of that kind of stuff. But once you're in the team and once you see, or in my case, I got into the team. I wasn't the starting point guard. I was the guy. And the guy that was the starting point guard, he had come from the NBA the year before, had played, anyone that watches basketball, had played with Vince Carter the year before, which is like one of the best players ever. He comes to Germany, he becomes the most valuable player in the league immediately. And you just see what kind of difference there is between you and him. You're both in the same team. There's just miles and miles
Apart, in a
apart.
sense.
So I realized very quickly, I was very lucky to get into the team, but that was probably going to be a very short lived kind of career. So I enjoyed my time. I had a great year, but at the same time, I knew that I really wanted to learn how to do business properly. So because of the family business that we had, my parents, they were just trying to make ends meet, and they didn't no one ever went to university or anything like this. I want to understand how to run business properly. And I wanted to do it in English so that I can work anywhere in the world afterwards.
So at that point, you were just speaking German?
Yes,
Okay.
very bad English. So I decided, okay, I want to go to the UK because that then opens doors for me.
Is that where you ended up finding a job in Forex?
Actually, I hated finance for all my studies.
Yeah, because you did say you hated maths.
Yeah.
And you failed maths.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I hated finance. I did my master's, and in my master's, people were either choosing investment banking or management consultant. I tried both, but I applied for 80 different jobs. 3 people gave me a chance in an interview. And in the end, I got one job offered, which was in management consulting. I was based in the UK, but flew to Germany every single week for a year and a half. And at some point, I said, I don't want to fly anymore. I don't want to see airports. I don't want to see hotels.
Yeah.
And so I looked for another job. And very funny how I ended up in this industry is I met this guy who had gone to my undergrad uni, had dropped out, was doing sports psychology. Then I met him 3 years later when he was 22, and he had made 10 million in profit working in Canary Wharf and
I
trading.
see.
Yes, but
Okay.
professionally. I was like, this guy that had left university doesn't have anything on me. I got to find out how he did it. So I asked him, what books did you read? What did you do? All of that kind of stuff. And while still being in my job, flying up and down, I started learning. I read all sorts of books about Forex and started trading demo accounts, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, 6 months later, I said I had enough from the previous job, looked for a job online, e-financial careers.
Mm.
On the first page, found someone that was looking, no prior knowledge required, German speaker. Sounds like I should apply for this. And then I turned up on the interview, and I knew a lot because I had been trying to trade for 6 months myself. So it was perfect for me.
Did you make any profit when you were trying to trade yourself?
For the first 3 years, I lost maybe 4 or 5 500-pound accounts. I made all the mistakes that everyone else does when they enter the industry, but it was a great learning period.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so did you end up working full time here in the UK for some time?
Yeah. I worked for IG for 2 years here on they call it sales traders, but basically people that do customer support and help to place trades on the.
And at what point in your life did you think, you know what, the UK is not for me? I'm going to decide to move to Dubai.
So after 2 years, I had 2 job offers internally, one to stay in the UK and then one to go to Dubai. And basically the conversation was, you speak Arabic, come with us, help us open the UAE office.
From
So-
do you mean
From
the
IG.
IG office?
Yes, so I went with them to help set up, me and the head of the office. No license, no team, no office, no nothing. We land, and it took us 8 months to basically open up shop and get the license, build a team, all of that kind of stuff. So that was an amazing ride. And I'll share one story.
Yeah, go on.
At the time, because I had these 2 job offers, he was saying, don't make the decision based on money, right? Make it based on what you actually want to do. And if you're an entry-level employee here in the city going paycheck to paycheck, obviously the money is, and I didn't really understand how much of an impact that would have, but I tried to do the math of me staying in London and me moving to Dubai. And even back then, when I was still earning entry-level salaries, it made so much sense. Not having to pay tax is just an amazing thing. There's so much more in your pocket. And so for me, it became a very easy decision to make. And yeah, now I've been there 9 years.
I've been to Dubai. There's loads of people who love Dubai, and there's also people who don't
Hate
really like
Dubai.
Dubai. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
But business-wise, it's amazing. What do you think is, there are people who decide to move to Dubai, right, for work. And a lot of people fail when moving to Dubai. What do you think most people tend to do when they get to Dubai and don't really make it out there?
Yeah. I was in the unique circumstance that I went out with a company, right? So everything was, they helped me with the move and everything was very smooth. Now, if someone moves out there and doesn't have a job and doesn't have connections in Dubai and is trying to find a job and there's thousands of applicants for the same roles, then it's very difficult to stand out. And now, post-COVID, a lot more people are going, right? There was this, when financial crisis was the first kind of swing of British expats went, and it went from something like 80,000 British expats to 250,000. And then I came in 2014, and since 2014, it was like Dubai was like a holiday destination. A lot of people went out there. And then COVID happened, 1 million people left because tourism, all these different industries were affected. And then July 2020, they opened borders again. All the other countries were shut. And all of a sudden, there was this massive influx of people. And now we're like above 10. When I came, we were below 9 million. Now we're above 10 million people, and I want to get it to 12, right? And the roads are packed. Everything is packed now in Dubai, right? So coming out there, you have got a lot of competition. You've got a lot of competition for all sorts of different jobs. The financial district in Dubai, for example, when I came, we had 25,000 people working in the DIFC. Now there's 45,000 people working. So it is growing massively. A lot more firms are coming, and there is opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity to make it there. But then I think what you're alluding to, people that don't make it in Dubai, or they get a job, but they just can't deal with the city and they get consumed. There are a lot of people that come to Dubai and say, all of a sudden they have money and don't pay tax, and they go to all the branches and they buy a car that is too expensive for them, and they live in a 4 or 5 bedroom mansion, and all of a sudden they can't deal with all the money that they, or keeping up with the Joneses. They just spend way too much than they should be. And that has nothing to do with Dubai. That's just, it makes it easier in Dubai because to get credit is easy. That is up to you, how you live in Dubai. I moved there 9 years ago, but I didn't really change who I was. And I just lived my life like I would, and I did here before. Yeah.
So you were wise with how you were going to invest with your money when you moved.
Yeah, I didn't let Dubai really consume me,
Right.
whereas a lot of other people fall prey to this.
So going back to your 2 job offers, and your friends said, don't let the money fool you and everything. What were these jobs? What positions were they for?
So one was here in the UK to start within IG in a new kind of project that they were running. And then one was to go and head up the Arabic speaking customer support desk in Dubai.
You are now the CEO of Capital.com, that's based out in the UAE in Dubai. Being a CEO clearly is it's a lovely job, obviously. You get good money, whatever, whatnot. But it's also a very stressful job. You've got the pressures of paying employee salaries, the company going well, targets that need to be met, a lot of pressure. Say I am your employee, okay? And you're paying me my monthly salary. You're not only just paying me my monthly salary, you're also paying a package behind that person too, right? But if something ends up going wrong within the company and people need to be fired, that is a lot of pressure for one person, a CEO, to deal with. And with all of these redundancies happening nowadays, a lot of mass firings happening within the FX industry, which does happen a lot. How do you deal with firings and just general pressure from being a CEO within such a tough industry?
Let me go back a little bit so that we get a bit of understanding of how I got here, right? So I get to Dubai, and the first 2 years, it was an amazing learning experience. This was my first managerial kind of role. And I was supposed to run the customer support desk, but I then ended up running sales, institutional business. I was their market analyst. I set up the server rooms. I did all sorts of different
Everything.
jobs. And in those 18 months, I learned the most in the industry. And that exposure to many different departments and asking questions and how does compliance work? How does marketing work? All of these kind of questions, they really put me in a position to where I am right now. After 2 years or 3 years in Dubai, I was supposed to take over office head or the regional CEO role from my ex-boss, and it didn't happen, right? They put someone else in my place. And that was a blessing for me because I said, okay, I'm going to leave and see if anyone else is going to give me a chance. And within a month, I had 4 offers to do exactly that role.
Oh, wow.
Right? But that was only because for 2 years, I had been putting in so much time and effort to learn everything. So I put myself in this position to get lucky. And then someone gave me a chance. And that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That was my first time to run a team and to be the responsible person on the license and grow revenue and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been 5-6 years in this kind of role in 2 different firms. And you asked me about pressure. If I put myself in the shoes of an employee, the most important thing is that you make yourself super useful, right? Make yourself as someone that can't be fired in the next round, right? The more useful you are, the better you make your manager look, the more you have a chance to stay within the team.
So you're saying knowledge is power here.
Knowledge is power, and just showing that you want more responsibility, that you can do more.
Yeah.
I had this early in my career where someone from headquarters was telling me, why is Tarik never doing his job? Why is he never logged into the sales system? Why can't I ever see him? I was out having meetings on client side. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was flying around and just trying to drum up business, right? Or I was coming in late in the office because in the evening I was doing a 2-3 hour seminar. I had no clue how to speak in public and speak in front of 50 people without a PowerPoint behind me and all captivate an audience, all those kind of skills that you're learning. And the more you have of this, like today, social media is such a powerful tool. So when I go to my staff and say, who's going to lead the seminars or who's going to be in front of the camera, then they think, oh, he's going to hire someone that is a social media or is a presenter to do the videos. No, I'm asking you. You may be working in back office or in customer support or in a sales role or in marketing. And I'm asking you to do a video where a lot of people are saying, no, that's not me. I've never done this before. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't learn this. Or you are in marketing, but you're also someone that's really chatty and could be doing sales. Don't limit yourself to the amount of responsibility that you can take on and the amount of roles that you can do. That's how I always applied myself in various different roles.
So as a CEO of the company, do you always try to find the full potential of your employees?
Yes. So I hate bringing only 20% of myself to work. I want to bring the whole 100%, right? And it's limiting if you don't. And so I try to find people that have the right attitude and just say, yes, I will try this. Yes, I will do this. It may not work out. And if it doesn't work out, that's fair enough. We learn something and we move on, right?
You're CEO. So it's not like you can be besties with your employees.
Yeah.
And so how do you differentiate the talent? Maybe that person instead wanting just to be close to you and he doesn't have the talent, for example.
I struggle with this early on because when you go from kind of manager to having more responsibility to then becoming the CEO, everyone wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
Everyone wants something from you, wants to sell you a project, wants to get a promotion, wants to get whatever. And I don't, because I bring my whole self to work, I don't have these clear boundaries of you're my employee and I'm your boss and you better listen to what I'm telling you. I hate micromanagement myself. Yeah. So I give people a lot of opportunity to take advantage of things that they should work on. And I only start being a lot more firm if someone misuses that trust or doesn't work in the way that I think someone should put in the effort. So I give you a lot of confidence at the beginning, and then if you misuse this, then I become
which I think that's
more
fair.
bossy.
I think it's fair.
The higher you move up, I think the more important it becomes to manage your time. And there's a lot of times when people just want to barge into your office and get 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. And if this happens, if you've got 30 people on the floor, if this happens constantly throughout the day, you can't actually be productive yourself. So being very firm with if there's a meeting, you prepare the meeting, you show up to the meeting, we're going to discuss it. And we're not going to just schedule an hour meeting because this is what you do.
Yeah.
If the meeting is going to take 13 minutes, it's going to take 13 minutes and we're going to move on. So guarding your time and not getting involved with every little small detail, because everyone has personal issues. Everyone has issues at work, politics, all of that kind of stuff. I try to stay out of these because that just can be so draining and becomes your full-time job to just sort out issues.
I get that.
Yeah.
I need to ask you a question. This is going to be a burning question possibly for you, but I need you to answer it. Why is it within effects, a lot of people tend to get fired? There's huge turnovers. It's the only industry that this happens in. Not the only, there is other industries as well, but this industry is known for a lot of mass firings. Why does it happen? Is that from C-level not structuring the company's vision, mission from the beginning? And they realize, oh, they basically fucked up. And so I need to fire people now. Or is it because people are not hitting their targets and they just need to be let go? Why does it happen?
We go through these cycles, right? When there's a lot of volatility, there's a lot of money to be made, and people get exuberant and say, oh, we need a bigger sales team. We need to, because we have more leads. Now we need to call everyone, and they hire a bunch of different people. And then there's these times where you're starting out or you're going after a new geography and you're hiring 10 people to go after this. Instead of looking at demand and slowly building it up, you just overhire. And then a lot of the time, some people don't work out and you just have to let them go, right?
Mhm.
I feel, planning is one of the things. And people thinking that hiring is the answer to fixing a lot of the problems. A lot of the time, it can be actually, especially now, solved with tech instead of just hiring a lot of people. So there's always these ups and downs or CEOs change or management changes, and all of a sudden they say, yeah, the first thing that we're going to do is cut 10% of the cost or 20% of the cost. And then a lot of people have to go. Or someone else goes to a growing firm and says, they're growing. We should have a lot more staff to be supporting this growth. So yeah, this is good for you, right?
It's good for the recruitment industry, yes, but not great for the people who are within effects. It's also not good for the brand as well.
Yeah.
The reputation goes like this and it takes years to build, but goes in a second.
Yeah.
So having a vision and the structure correct from the very beginning is obviously very crucial.
Yeah.
From a recruiter's point of view, yeah, it's great, whatever. But then at the end of the day, what people don't also realize is that recruiters get the blame if they send them to a company and they get fired because the company didn't end up going well. We get the blame as if we knew them going there, they were going to get fired. Okay, moving on. How do you balance family life and professional life?
Yeah. For me, the most important thing is family. I guess everyone would say that,
Yeah.
right? Nothing new. I think one of the things that is very different working in London and working in Dubai is that work-life balance over there is amazing. I'm
Is
not
it?
saying that people don't work long hours or people don't put in the effort.
So what's the difference?
The difference is that on a weekend, I can go to the beach for 2 days,
Yeah.
completely relax, come back and feel like I've been on a mini holiday. So or a lot of people start a little bit later, similar to Cyprus, like
Yeah.
9:30, 10, people start to work. And you've had the morning and you've had, I don't know, you've gone to the beach or you've had a
Or
great
even after
workout
work, you
or,
can
yeah,
go.
exactly. That you're not stuck 3 hours on the tube, go to work and come back.
Yeah, it's depressing over here in the UK. Honestly, it's so depressing.
I lived that life for 2 years, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, zone 6, zone 1. And that was when you have 3 hours extra every day and the sun is out every single day and it's not
Yeah.
raining and people are not miserable. It does something to your mood. And so I try, whenever I'm in the UAE and not traveling, to be home at least 3 or 4 nights a week to tuck my kids to bed.
Yeah.
That's a very important aspect of what I want to do. And then the weekends are for the family. So it sounds very boring, but I don't go out much. I don't hang out with a lot of friends. It's just the weekend and the evenings are for family.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's really great. So I want to speak about risks,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And what risks mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to go back to something that I saw that you posted on LinkedIn ages ago. You basically wired $50,000 to your friend,
Yeah.
and you told him to keep the $50,000
Mm-hmm.
and gave yourself 3 months
Hmm.
to form a six-pack.
Yeah.
Please tell me what that was about.
Yeah.
And
So,
what kind of risks are these?
yeah, sometimes you have to bet on yourself. In that particular instance, I stopped playing basketball at 23. At 25, I lost my six pack. And then you sit in front of a desk all day long. And because I grew up playing a lot of sports, I could eat whatever I want and never gain any weight, right? Problem is when you stop playing sports and sit the whole day and you keep eating, that six pack goes. So and then I had kids and whatever, and workout time, you need to really prioritize. And I didn't for a while. So 4 or 5 times I tried to get my six pack back and failed. And I know how I'm wired, and I definitely don't want to lose any kind of money. And especially that was everything that I had in my bank account. Yeah. So I sent this to him and said, keep it unless I get my six pack back. And for 3 months, it was very funny. Like, I didn't stop working out once. So I did 100 days straight, achieved my goal. I went from something like 92 kilos down to 79 kilos. So I lost 13 kilos. I watched my diet for the first time. I worked out every day for an hour at least, sometimes more. And yeah,
Do you think that sending the amount would actually make you motivated to do it?
there was
Because
no,
you didn't have to send that money and
yeah,
tell him to keep it.
yeah, no, but there was no question whether I was going to work out that day or not.
Right, okay.
And there was no question whether I'm going to have an extra dessert or how you usually go out to.
Yeah.
I still went out to restaurants. I still went on about my life, but I just was very conscious about it because, yeah.
So how do you differentiate calculated risks to reckless risks?
Hmm.
And also in your decision making too.
I'm always in go mode. I don't
Okay.
have any kind of stopping. There's not much calculation. I much rather try out 10 different things, fail 9 times. I only need to be right once. So taking calculated risks, obviously now I have a lot of experience. I know what works, what doesn't work, or what has worked before for me. It doesn't mean that it will work again, but I'm willing to give it a try. I'm much more proactive and action orientated than saying, oh no, I need to mull over this and need to create business plans and all that. That's not how the real world works. Like, you just have to go for it and see what happens and maneuver and pivot.
What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who may be hesitant to take risks, putting in fear in there as well?
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this. I've taken a number of different risks in my life. I've always stayed within the corporate world, so I've never really left and completely just gone down the entrepreneurial journey. But I've invested in many different startups. I've had
Yes.
businesses on the side myself. And so there was always risk involved. I'm a huge risk taker.
Yeah.
So
This is what I need to understand. How people who are huge risk takers, how are you so wired differently to the normal person? For example, me as Emma, I'm not a huge risk taker, not at all. So what is it about you guys? Do you not feel the fear?
yeah, but what's the worst thing that can happen? You fall on your face, you get back up and you try again. Right? Okay, you may lose some money, you may lose friends, you may lose businesses, you may lose some time, but all of that is just falling forward and learning from your experience. And right? And if you keep doing this, you fall so many times, you become a lot more resilient. The next time it won't be so scary anymore because you've just fallen, and then you take a bigger risk and a bigger risk. And I feel I can get any job working for a company. I can get a job every time again. So if I fall on my face, the worst thing that can happen is I go back to being employed somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think not having fear and getting so involved in, oh, what could go wrong? Why don't you think about the upside? What could go right? What those dreams that you have, how could you fulfill them instead of thinking about what will happen
The
if I don't?
negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this year, you've made personal branding your mission. What changed? And by the way, I love that because you don't see a lot of CEOs, like C-level, just generally people in senior positions trying to put themselves out there from the industry or not from the industry generally. But from my end, seeing it, I think that's really great because you also get to know the other person from a different limelight. He's not just sitting in his office in a skyrise and everything, telling people what to do, because clearly you're not like that. And you've shown that in your LinkedIn and the stories that you bring out, which is very interesting and inspiring. Why did you make this a mission this year to make your personal branding a priority?
First of all, I appreciate your comment. Not everyone thinks like you. And this is really the reason why a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people are hesitant to bring their full self online and talk about this so openly because on LinkedIn, you've got all your colleagues, you've got your bosses, you've got former colleagues, everyone.
And they're afraid.
Everyone is
Yeah.
looking at it and is saying, oh, I don't want to say something wrong so I don't get fired, don't get pulled into HR. So a lot of people think about the downside and I, again, just think about the upside. So I've been in this industry for 12 years. I know people from 3-4 different firms, and these people have moved on to different firms. I know people in many different firms, but that's really it. I know the people in our industry, and you probably have a similar kind of thing. You're recruiting for this industry very well.
Yeah.
But who outside this industry knows you?
A few.
A few.
Because of my personal branding as well.
Yes. If you now look at it and say, I've been in Dubai for 9 years, and there's this whole booming fintech scene.
Right.
And there's lots of other businesses there. And if you look at that, not many people actually know me.
Yeah.
I am working really hard. I moved up the corporate ladder, all of that kind of stuff. But there isn't really a personal brand.
Yeah, people just don't understand the power of personal branding and the leads and the business you can get from it.
Yeah. And so I decided I have a podcast already and we talk about all sorts of different stuff. But I never really took LinkedIn serious in that kind of way. Last year, I posted for 2 months before the summer and after the summer, 1 month each. And I had some kind of reach, but nothing really to shout about. And so I looked at it and I sat down with my wife at the beginning of the year and we looked at goals for the year as we do every year. And one of them was personal branding for me because I read this post by a person called Hannah Larson, who was a normal employee and now has more than 100,000 followers. She had 60 million views on her posts last year, just on LinkedIn, gets 5 to 30 inbound leads a day. So she doesn't do any outbound, right? And she just posts every single day once. And I said, that can't be so difficult.
I want to be that.
And no, at the same time, I know how to show up. I know how to put my head to something and just keep going. And so since the beginning of the year, I've posted every single day. It's been a good 3 months now. And if you look at it, I've had 1.5 million impressions on my posts, which is 10 times as much as I had last year. I had 150K last year. And I set my goal to get to 10 million this year. Yeah. So from 150K to 10 million.
So how many followers do you
I
currently
had
have?
3,500 at the beginning of the year. So it was a very small account. Now I've got 9.5.
Well, getting there.
Which is not bad. Some of the posts have gone to 250, 300,000 views. And I average probably between 5 and 25,000 views per post, which is, think about this. Like, where do you go? You don't wake up, stand in a stadium and speak to 25,000 people every day. But on LinkedIn,
you do.
that's easily achievable.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will form opinions about you. And if you care about this is not for you. But I don't really care so much about other people's opinions. So I just keep posting. I keep posting about stuff that I'm interested in, or I have conversations with people, or I have challenges. Like, for example, I was thinking about whether to hire a head of marketing or not.
Oh, yeah.
And I put it out there and I said, what do you guys think? And obviously there's a lot of marketing people that have very strong opinions on this that then wrote me DMs and wrote on the post and shared and liked and hated and all of that kind of stuff. But to me, that's completely natural. And HR almost had a meltdown when they found out we had this job opening. And then I basically took it down with my LinkedIn post and said, I'm not going to hire anyone. And I gave my reasoning and some people agreed with it and some people didn't, right? So it's just, that's being very genuine and very much me and my thinking process and all of that kind of stuff bringing online. Then I posted a video of me doing push-ups in Mexico, right? And someone wrote me a DM and said, let me be your content strategist. And who the hell told you to post a video of you doing push-ups? I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get that that's part of me. Like, the way that I'm dressed today, I didn't come here in a suit and say, oh, I'm the CEO, so I got to look like this. I was a basketball player. I like wearing hoodies. I like wearing basketball shoes. So I'm going to show up the way that I want to show up.
You feel like showing up, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so interesting, honestly. And that when you posted that thing about trying to find a marketing person, I replied to you and I was like, what? I was even thinking to myself, what is he asking? The guy already knows the answer. And I wrote that to you.
Yeah.
You knew. Did you not know? Did your intuition did not know already what you wanted?
Yeah,
Like, firstly, you clearly obviously wanted opinions before you went with your gut feeling.
I had a gut feeling that the two previous firms I had a head of marketing every single time. I've already achieved a lot of success and I now know a lot more about marketing than back in those times. So I need people to cover my blind spots of stuff that I don't know. So I think you can't really do that as a generalist. You have to be a specialist in social media, in SEO, in whatever. So I didn't think that I needed it, but I also didn't want to be so full of myself to just make that decision without listening to people that it's their job, right? So I wanted to see what opinions are out there. And there were some really strong opinions and really useful opinions out there. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of people that I attracted with this post that actually proved to me, I want to help you. I am that person that can help
Yes.
you with X, right? So you said you don't know what happens and what you attract. Through these 3 months of posting, I've attracted so many opportunities from
Yes.
employees wanting to work for me, from business opportunities, from all sorts of different things, just from posting once a day.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like,
Yeah.
personal branding, I think everyone should make it their priority, especially for business. On LinkedIn, if you don't want to personal brand yourself on Instagram or TikTok and all of that, at least for your career, LinkedIn is the place to be.
Yeah. If you get made redundant and then you're applying for jobs and you've got 30, 50,000 followers on your LinkedIn, that's the first thing that I check. If I see a profile that is interesting, I'll go on their LinkedIn.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And if they haven't posted in 2 years and they've got 500 followers, you're like, maybe not.
Let me ask you though, if
Mm.
any of your employees started personal branding, would you be for it though? I'm sure you would be.
I am encouraging every
I hope
single
they
one
will, yeah.
to build their personal brands. I've got people in social media saying, I told them, look, you can't run the social media accounts if you don't have strong accounts yourself.
Yeah.
I want the salespeople to have their own personal brands because in the future, people that have followings on YouTube, on Instagram, on wherever, if you've got 100,000 people listening to you and you want to be a salesperson, it's going to be much easier for you to
Yeah, of
close
course,
sales. So
100%.
I'm encouraging this and trying to lead from the front by doing it myself as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love that you're out there and you're telling them that you can do this and be cheerful
Yeah,
like
I
that.
try
It's
to be
great.
encouraging,
Encouraging,
especially.
that's the word.
Yeah.
That's great. So, Tarik, to finalize, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
To my children, obviously, I want to be a great dad. I
Yeah.
want to be someone that is in their lives and is involved and is there for them when they need me, is pushing them. If any of them ever are interested in sports, that would be obviously very nice for me because I've lived that life and I could help them a lot. But if they don't, and if they don't want to do something else, that's also fine. So I just want to be a good dad, just like everybody else.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
No, but that's every parent's dream
Yeah.
to be regarded well by their kids. And work-wise, I want to keep pushing boundaries and keep exploring new territories, learn more. I feel I'm still very early in my career. And yes, got a few years on my track sheet, but just go out there and strive for much higher goals than where I am at the moment. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's amazing. Well, Tarik, thank you very much for coming in today and see you guys next week.